Hey there, folks. So, last episode we set up the flee logic for our NPC over there. I can see him walking away into the distance. And in editing, I did point out that there were some fixes I wanted to make and some changes there over what I had originally done. So, I want to kick off those this episode. But the first thing I want to do is I want to point out between last episode and this episode, I have actually updated to engine version 5.5. At this point, it is still in a preview state, so I would not recommend anyone else do this really. I only did this because I wanted to take a look at the changes in lighting and everything there, because that for me, well, there's actually a lot of changes in 5.5 that I'm interested in. So either way, what I want to do this episode is, when this responds after I said stop playing editor, that actually reminds me there is a bug that came up as a result of 5.5 that I wasn't seeing before. I'm just going to stop debugging. But so yeah, as I was mentioning, last episode we set up this flee logic here, and I want to clean a few things up. But also, as I just mentioned, we do have this error that's showing up right here that we need to fix. This is actually in our chrono manager, and the reason being is we're not correctly calling super end play. So in here, in our chrono manager, just as part of our end play, we do need to just pass through to the super end play, because that's a required component for things like garbage collection and stuff like that. And I've mentioned that in the past, and when we set this up, I missed adding that in. So when Visual Studio decides to actually work, if it decides to actually work, because I have noticed some weird oddities since I upgraded to 5.5, which is the other reason why I wouldn't recommend anyone else upgrade their project to using 5.5 yet. But I figured, well, I'm a developer by profession. If there's some bugs and stuff, I can dig into it. So, all right, there we go. So we've got that fixed. Now, how did I want to change this flee logic? Let me actually bring this back down. We don't need that whole thing open. So right now, what we're doing in here is we're getting the NPC's location. We are changing their rotation, and then we're getting a distance further ahead from that. I want to change how we're doing that. So what I want to do here is change this to an F transform. And this is going to be curtrans for current transform equals NPC get transform. And the reason being for this is we're able to then modify all of this information, and we don't have to worry about things like set their rotation and things like that. So what we're going to do here is, from this transform, we are then going to, as you can see, we've got a rotation directory. Look at rotation, we're going to do that, and instead of NPC set actor rotation, it's going to be curtrans, if I could spell that right, dot rotation, set rotation, and we're going to set that to the flee direction. And the reason being for that is we're not needing to, where did I put that in here? We're not needing to do this. And what do you, F rotator. I think that's just an IntelliSense quirk. No suitable user for F rotator. Okay, let's figure that out. Rotation. Dot. Can I do? Yeah, no. It's a rotator. And IntelliSense isn't working because I moved to 5.5. right. So this is some of the things also I'll just quickly go over while I try to figure this out. Some of the things that can happen when you update your engine. Things like our Visual Studio integration plugin isn't updated for this. Kertrans dot. It's not a pointer. Let's have a look to see. Location. Actually, we want set component identity location set rotation. What inputs do you take? F quaternion new rotation. Okay. Let's have a look at this. Flee direction. Direction. Yeah, and IntelliSense is being a royal pain because I dropped up. Well, it dropped up. I jumped up to 5.5. And you can see the IntelliSense is bouncing back and forth on what it wants to, throws an error. Okay, that's working there. So then we wanted to go Kertrans dot set rotation new rot. And we'll see if that works. Save that. Why is my system being so slow? Is Windows Defender running? Apparently there's something running on my system that is chewing up all of my system resources. No, don't see why. Sitting at like 30% across the board, so something's happening here. So I'm going to pause the video quickly just because there is obviously something going on in my system. I'm going to figure out what that is, and I will be right back. All right, I'm not actually sure what was up with my system there. Maybe there was some background update going on, but I actually had to do a full system restart. With that, did lose a couple of things, however, nothing important, because I actually realized I was going down the wrong direction with the code anyways. So with that, where we left off is we were using this Kerr transform. So what we're going to do here is set our rotation. So Kerr trans, set rotation, flee direction, if I could spell flee correctly, dot quaternion, and that converts it over, which is quaternion. That converts it over so that it stops complaining. However, we need to actually make sure we can get rid of Kerlock. I missed fixing that here. So it's going to be Kertrans dot location. So get location. Get rid of you. And we don't need, with that, we don't need this set actor rotation, because what that was doing is that was forcing our NPC to like turn on the spot instantly, which obviously wasn't the best thing to do. And then here we're going to be Kertrans dot location, get location, dot forward vector, and then flee distance. That multiplied by flee distances, that's how far away we're going to go. I do actually want to increase the radius from 500 to 1,000. And then from that, make sure New lock, target point equals, yep. So that fixes that up there. And this is basically, it stops the NPC turning on the spot, and it will allow any like animation blueprint you have, any turn radius requirements, things like that to correctly go through and be applied there. So I'm just going to quickly launch the debugger for this one. Now, this may take a moment to build. This is the second time I've built with 5.5, so I'm not sure how quickly my system is going to build this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video, and I will be back once I have us in the engine, or if there's a build error, I'll obviously bring back to that. So alright, so we are in the editor. It didn't actually take that long. I thought it might take a little longer than that to get in. What we're going to do though first, before we do our quick test, is I'm just going to hop back in and throw in a breakpoint I forgot to throw in. And we're going to hit play in editor. Now this again may take a little bit to launch. Nope, there we go. So obviously it's instantly seen our character, so I want to make some changes there. So I'm going to just check though, follow through with this. Okay. Our target point. Not quite sure why it's got some really funky values there, but what I'm waiting for is it to, I'm just going to throw a breakpoint there. Okay, it dropped in. New lock, location. Okay, so it is moving there. Okay, so let's get rid of that and hit continue. And we're going to drop it a play in editor quickly. I don't want the NPC to instantly flee. Yes. Makes debugging things a little hard. So we're going to move that there, and then we're going to try play in editor. That breakpoint is still there. So let's run over. You can see we're behind the character, nothing. And then just as we run around here, there we go. So just quickly hopping back to the editor before we continue. It's not going to let me. It's going to let me move it out of the way. Yeah, you can see we've got approximately a 90-degree field of view. So bring that back in. Okay, so we know that is working based on that. We should see our NPC flee towards the wall off to our left. Where's my cursor? There it is. So hop back in. Yeah. So that is achieving pretty much what we want. The NPC is running over to our flee point. Now, as I had also mentioned last episode, we want to have a callback that is going to say run, because we want our NPC to actually sprint off there. So we're going to close out of the editor. Yes, I want to save that. That's just moving him around the corner. And we already have this here. So we have our controller. So what we are going to do is open up, close out of these other functions. We don't need those, or other tasks, I should say. Going to open up our AI controller base. And I'm actually going to open up the header for that because we need to add a new function. We're going to add a public function. And this is going to be void set sprint. Set sprinting. Const bool reference b sprint. And this is just like everything else. Actually, sorry. We want to also make this a U function. Blueprint callable. And the whole reason for this is just like with everything else, it's constant bool for memory management. I understand Boolean. Again, incredibly small. It's good practice just to do that. We're going to create that definition. And then we have, where is our constructor? Controlled pawn. which is an NPC character. All we are going to be doing here is controlled pawn get stat line set. Oh no, control pawn. What? Oh, we don't have. It's right there. TF character. Or am I going crazy? Control pawn is NPC character. That's why we've got the wrong header there. So let's fix that. Because up here we have TF character, which is what we want. But if we include NPC character, again, that also casts it down and includes TF character. So control pawn, use stat line component. Oh, that's what it is. Okay, let me undo this and see. Does that still throw the same error? Okay, we're missing the stat line header. Sorry, it's not included in the tree that we need. So what we're going to be doing here, include components statline component.h. There we go. Okay, so yeah, control pawn, get stat line, set sprinting, and we're just going to say b sprint. And that just, what we've done with this is, and sorry, I'm gesticulating with my hands. I do that a lot. I think I just smacked the mic, so I'll probably fix that in post if I did. What we're doing with this, as with everything else, we're trying to expose it in a way that our AI has the ability to make some of these changes. So now that we've got that in, all we are going to do here, because we already have that, we're going to be, where is it? That's here. We want to go con set sprinting true. And what this is going to do is it should have the NPC start running as soon as they see us. So I'm going to, just like last time, pause the build, and pause the video, and I will be back once we are in the editor and we can test this out to make sure it's working. All right, so we are back in the editor. NPC is still around the corner, so let's try play an editor and see if this is working. So going to, yep, he's walking away from us, so we're going to run over and try to get seen, and then you can see they start running. Now their sprint speed obviously isn't fast enough. We haven't set that up properly, but you could see there was a distinct change in their movement. So all right, with that though, folks, I know this is a little bit of a shorter episode. However, I have done some pre-planning for, let me just bring back here, actually I'm closer to the editor. So we have our final component for this sort of whole flee state, which is our reevaluate the reaction state. I've done some pre-planning with this and made some notes, and this is actually going to be a little more involved because we do need to make some code changes in a few different places. And there's actually a bit of code involved here as well that is a little more complex, and I want to focus on all of that in one episode, so instead of splitting that between two. So with that though, folks, as always, thank you for watching. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, suggestions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. As always, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.